All right, hey, welcome everyone to another season of the Skookum Session Bigfoot Podcast. This year we're calling it the Skookum Session Bigfoot Podcast Q&A because we're letting people post questions or message or whatever, and we are going to try and tackle the questions, answer them as best we can. With the group we got together tonight, I think we'll be able to get a little ways with it. How y'all doing? We got Mr. Gary Spikes Jr. with us, of course. Gary, we got Mr. Nick Valente, my partner on OTT.
Guys,
Got Mr. Carter Bouchard, great man. Carter, how's it going?
Hey.
Glad to have back. I couldn't be more excited to have back Mr. Israel Barreto. Israel, what's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Good to have you back, man.
Thank you.
And we got Mr. Joe Vogel, another great guy, wealth of knowledge. Joe, how's it going?
I'm very well, very well. Nice to see everybody.
Good to see you, buddy. And down in the corner, we've got Mr. John Schweitzer. John.
You said it right. Yeah.
I said it right tonight. Good to see you again, brother.
It's good to see anybody, man.
And our newest member to the table, and I couldn't have picked a better guy for the state of Virginia, is Mr. Daryl Denton, one of my great friends. Mr. Daryl, how's it going?
Thank you, Jeremiah. Honored to be here and feel the same about you, brother.
I appreciate that, man. So, guys, tonight we're gonna. I told you I got a pretty funky question. I think this one is gonna be a good. This will be a good question for. I think I'm gonna choose Carter to start off on this one, if he doesn't mind. What do you think, Carter? All right, let me find it again here.
Breaking up a little bit there.
It was another government question. Okay, so here we go. Jeremiah, here's my question. It's been said that the government knows of the existence of Sasquatch. Excuse me. Well, the two camps, meaning you guys know what I mean by that, with the two camps saying that it's either a creature that lives here or one that travels interdimensionally via portals or spacecraft. Why is the government covering things up? Carter, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I hope I have enough time.
Do your thing, Carter. Do your thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm firmly convinced that the government knows all about Sasquatch. They've told us there was no UFOs for the last 100 years. Oh, wait, they were lying. They admitted they lied. They knew all about them. I think they know about the Sasquatch, whether they're interdimensional or quantum type. We're discovering new species every day of plants, animals, fish, seeds, whatever. We hear about them all the time. Why are they sitting on the Sasquatch thing? There's something about them they don't want us to know, and other than there's two reasons they're going to sit on it, and the lumber and paper companies and science, they're all sitting on it and not going to say a word. If science says anything, they're going to lose their funding. They're going to lose their grants. So they're bought and paid for, So, but people are reporting this stuff, and it's sanitized or brushed away because they haven't monetized it all the way. They haven't figured out what they can do with these beings, and so they're going to lie and stall as long as they can until they've got a handle on it. And they're going to throw us a story just like they threw us with the Tic Tac videos. Well, we've been lying, but here's this thing. We didn't build them. We don't know who did. We don't have that technology. We'll get back to you. And when they finally say something about Sasquatch, it's going to be something similar to that, where they're just going to stall us. We'll get back to you. You're on to us. You got us. And we'll get back. And then we'll get nothing for a long time. That's just my firm belief.
Okay. Makes sense. Gary, what do you think?
Y'all are touching on a subject that's hard for me to touch on because of the whole government thing.
Yeah.
I honestly believe no matter what they turn out to be, that we have to prove the existence thereof before we can discuss the existence thereof. It's all speculative. You know, we all, most of us here every one of you that I know, we're all witnesses and we all believe, but we can believe all we want until we can prove that happening. And like Carter said, there sure seems to be something out there, no matter what it is, that does not want this information out and it becoming, how would we call mainstream? I'm at a point now that I've almost just about given up on trying to prove the existence thereof and just doing the research of the existence thereof for my own personal gratification, because I don't think that any one person has the power and the capabilities to get this thing out here, because it's done tried, it's done happened, and it's gotten, for lack of better terms, shut down or buried multiple times. And I think that it's going to take, how would we say, I don't think it's going to happen in America. I honestly think it'll happen in other countries.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Nick, what do you think?
I gotta agree with Gary. I think they're going to come out with it over in Europe first.
Yeah.
There's so much that I know about the government and what is actually truly going on. Area 51, for instance. I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but I know for a fact that Delta does prep work for anti and counterterrorism activities in Area 51. And Gary, and I noticed 75th was down there, Gary. So along with the rest of us.
Nope, know nothing.
Huh?
I know nothing.
See, he doesn't want to come out.
I can't. But yes, the 75th was there.
What I'm trying to say is misdirection. Oh, Area 51, we got all kinds of UFOs, this and that. No. You need someplace away from prying eyes, the eyes in the sky, meaning the helicopters with the news reporters, people on the ground trying to see what's going on, spies from other governments. You need someplace, so Groom Lake over there is nice and hidden, and you can monitor everything outside of it so nothing goes. They're using misdirection. That's what I do believe. And to me, that's one example. I mean, I know this for sure. I'm telling you for sure. Now they're going to knock on a door and say, oh, you're not supposed to say that, but sorry, it's true. Yeah. I'm not giving any secrets away, but also that's where they develop a lot of our aerial capability, the planes that can fly like Mach 7 and all that good juicy stuff. I'm sorry. I just don't understand why they don't want to come out with the fact that there is such a thing as a Bigfoot out there. I just don't understand that, why they don't want to come out with it.
Think it has something to do with mass hysteria?
People are, well, what's more mass hysterical than having eggs $6 a dozen or gasoline up to $5 a gallon? I mean, that's going to drive me nuts. Telling me that gas is coming down next week, but people, we have a thing called the Sasquatch, and it's about 8 to 12 feet tall sometimes, maybe bigger. I don't care. Can you bring my egg prices down a little bit? I think people nowadays are more willing to accept that. It's not like back when they had that big old radio program and they were faking everybody out saying that we're being invaded by, Martians and stuff. I think nowadays people are more acceptable of things, maybe they're afraid that people are going to go out there with guns and try to find them and, bring them in, like people are doing in Africa. They're killing the white rhinos, they're killing elephants, as trophies. Maybe that's a possibility. I mean, that I was thinking about, that they want to go out there and take them out, but I'm sorry, Uncle Sam, but one of these days we got to come out with stuff and let people grow up and decide for themselves. There's too many people having sightings out there. Are they all lying and they're looking for their 15 minutes of fame? I don't think so. I don't think so because they're not coming out with it. They don't want to come out with it.
Right.
Every month I get at least a minimum of 25 reports of Dogman, Mothman, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call it. I get them every month, sometimes 50 in a month. And I mean, after 12 months, that's a lot of people reporting just to me. Then you got other people out there that they're calling and reporting to. So something's going on, and they don't want their names out there. They don't want their families involved. They just want to say, hey, look, we did find this. This is where it's at. I question them. But it's happening. That's what I'm trying to get out. It's happening right now.
Yeah. That makes sense. Israel, is this a tough one for you to answer or because of your situation, or can you throw in some thoughts?
It's tough because I'm still learning, and in my ignorance, I think that, and then again, forgive me, but I think it's a twofold. I think it's like they said, it's they have to, if they were to come out with it, it'd be two-sided. The science would have to explain why, and also religious folks would go crazy with it. They have to explain that. So I think it is a twofold on there that's one of the reasons I think that they've been holding back on that, because if that exists and we know it exists, what else can exist out there? They have to start, they'll put a doubt on a lot of things.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that sounded like somebody just signed off there.
Looks like he froze.
Bing.
If it comes out.
I think the government
That's
did
what
it.
I think. That's the reason I think. Yeah, they're trying to stop us.
Yeah, they're trying to
One
put it
by
on you
one.
right now.
Wait a minute. I'm hearing a knock upstairs. Uh-oh.
One thing that gets me is we do know that over the past, a year or so, that the government has come out and released a bunch of documents on the UFO.
Yes.
Why are they doing that with the UFO and why not this?
Why not this? Yeah.
What is the difference? I don't understand that.
And why have all those places like in Puerto Rico? They got in our rainforest in El Yunque, they got a sectioned off area that only the Marine Corps has it. I mean, what are they hiding? What are they hiding back there?
Absolutely.
And they always have the sightings of El Chupacabra and stuff like that. I know we're not talking about him, but what are they gaining from not telling us?
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I think by not telling us, they haven't monetized it. They haven't weaponized it.
Yeah.
To what they want to get out of it before they tell the common folk like us. So they haven't got what they want out of it. Number one. Number two, you've got to look at the traffic at the national parks that would be cut down if all of a sudden we had to shut down all the logging and everything. So there's financial ramifications, there's political ramifications, and I assure you, they are the next generation. They're probably a human hybrid of a type, and that's what they're waiting to try to tell us and find a way to tell us where we're not just going to be so irritated and pissed because they've been sitting on this, all this time. Why do we not deserve to know this? You're keeping secrets using our tax dollars to keep secrets from us. That ain't right. I want a rebate.
Right.
Well, that's the whole thing, Carter. They haven't found a way to tax it yet. When they find a way to monetize it, then they're going to say, oh, well, we're going to come out with it. You can go to the Aereo Space Museum and see the flying saucers and the aliens. And you can go to the Monster Zoo and see Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Dogman and Mothman and Lizard Man and whatever.
The pale whites.
Once they find that out, they're selling tickets for $30 a pop. Then they'll tell us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you what. If it costs you $20 to go to the national park, throw in an extra 30. We'll show you a Bigfoot. Think of the money that could be made.
Yeah,
we'll throw in a Bigfoot. Yeah.
Here's another thing, real quick, too. Though, what does this do to the modern sociological belief that we are us? what happens? I understand that we're finding primitive man and the Denisovians and stuff, but what happens if one of these is walking the planet now and it's not a primate? What happens if it is another race of human? What is that going to do to our whole sociological and religious standard? Because we've been taught for thousands of years that we're the top of the line here. There's so many things intertwined here. I mean, we could sit here and talk all night long, but why not just get it out in the open and say, okay, we're not. Is this not the age of enlightenment and the age of science? I'm sure they could figure it out how to present it to where it would not rip the whole world apart.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't think they know how to answer it personally. But I think I definitely agree with. I know the national park industry is about a $2.8 billion industry every year.
Yeah.
If you tell people Bigfoot is loose in the national parks and Dogman and whatever else, you're going to thin out some crowds real quick. They're not going to take their families camping there. You also throw a reach in the evolution of the way the scientists have put it together. We've all had to believe our entire years of school and college, and that doesn't fit at all. And I personally believe that it's been proven that it is, my personal belief here as I speak, 50% human and 50% unknown.
Yep.
And I know for a fact there are numerous different types. Numerous. There's not just one type of Bigfoot. There's numerous ones. Because I personally have witnessed 3 different types. I've been around them. I've gifted them, befriended them, and the first one scared me out of my mind. After that, it was quite a while before I even got involved in all that. But there's no doubt that the government knows. I think there's a lot of reasons why, but we'll never know the exact reason until it finally does come out. As far as the UFO goes, I think there's something that we're all fixing to find out about the UFO alien connection, and they're letting us know ahead of time so they'll be prepared. And they can say, we told you they were out there. So I don't know what that is, but that's my personal opinion.
No, I agree with you. Joe, what are your thoughts?
Well, when it comes to the government in general, my opinion is not that great in the first place. My best friend worked for the FBI, and he's really a super smart, very intelligent. He's an engineer, and
Hey, Sean.
he really, he pretty much told me that 85% of the FBI is, for lack of a better term, pretty much retarded, and only about 2% of their agents are actually top notch. So that doesn't give me much hope for that organization. So he worked for the CIA as well. He worked for the U.S. Spatial Intelligence Agency as well. And he's always said the intelligence community is anything but. So, he's got to make a living, and they're willing to pay him. So, his story on the subject. Actually, I just saw him over right after Thanksgiving. He pretty much says the FBI doesn't give a shit about this stuff. They got other things to worry about. Yeah. And a buddy of mine's a Idaho State Trooper, and he told me in confidence once that he saw a Sasquatch in McCall, Idaho. Ran across Route 95, right outside of McCall, Idaho, while he was driving. He's one of the cops that drive the pickup trucks that chase after the tractor trailers.
Okay.
You know that
DOT.
Yeah. Well, he's a state trooper,
right.
It's like the DOT division or whatever it would be.
Right.
And he was driving from Coeur d'Alene down to McCall, and at broad daylight too. And he took it to his major once he arrived at his destination, and the major told him, well, you didn't tell me that, and I don't want to hear any more about it.
Nope.
Yeah.
And he told me in confidence. I was taking care of his father. His father was a patient of mine. And one day we were just idle chit chat. So I don't really think if they do care right now, I don't see a lot of hope for the future if they're ever going to say they believe or that they have proof for it. They're not going to say that these things exist. It's too hard for us to prove, and it's too easy for them to just say, well, no, it doesn't exist.
Right.
So,
Right.
somebody's got to bring forth that body. I hate to say it. That's just how it's going to happen. Either a body or some seriously good 8K video.
Yeah.
I don't even think a body would do anything at this point. They would just cover it up and
They've had bodies before.
Hoax.
Yeah,
I mean, they can. The
media.
media controls everybody's minds. It doesn't matter. You could have 10 bodies and they would cover it up.
I agree with it.
Yeah, that's true. So, and I've heard about the DNA samples that get mailed away, never get dealt with, or they just disappear. Or we lost your specimen. Sorry.
I had a bone disappear in the mail. Yeah.
Get stolen. Yeah. That did not disappear, Jeremiah. We both know that it got stolen.
We talked about that. It minded up and gone. But yeah, Sean, that's good. That's a good point.
All the DNA samples I've tried they've sent back and said they were contaminated.
Yep.
Contaminated,
well,
all of them.
Yeah.
That's horseshit, because the first thing they do is they decontaminate it. That any good lab decontaminates everything that comes in, gets rid of any human DNA, and then they say, well, it was contaminated with human DNA because every single sample has got mitochondrial human DNA, and the other is unknown. And that's how it's been in every single case.
Yeah.
And I'm with, I mean, if you pay attention to Scott Carpenter at all, or the study he did with Ketchum, I'm on board with that guy. I believe him.
I 100%.
My buddy just sent me that link for that. I got to read it. I haven't got around to it.
So. I've got his book. He's a good guy, and he's easy enough to contact and talk to.
Yeah.
He's pretty straight up. Scott's super guy.
Yeah.
Pilates just had a really good special on his 411 on that DNA findings from Ketchum and Scott. Pretty good stuff.
I saw that. I think that was episode 13 or something, class 13 on Bigfoot.
Very good.
And I would suggest anybody watching this, check that out. Go through all of them. Pilates is a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Very good source of information.
I agree with that also.
Yeah, he has a Facebook group I'm in called Squatch Watch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I need to check that out. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, it's called Squatch Watch. Just look it up. He invited me. I commented on something on another site, or I commented on a YouTube video, I think. And it was like a couple days later, I got the invite to join that group. So it's just getting started. So.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to hear this response come from you.
What's that?
Why is that?
The question we got.
All right.
Talking about
I mean, yeah, I do notes, man, like so forth. So let me just say, we're all adults here, and we all can agree to disagree without stepping on anybody, but right or wrong, you did say my opinion.
Your opinion.
Right? My opinion. So right or wrong, whoever says whatever they believe, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say it that way. So, these are my thoughts. And now the biggest thing is I have nothing to gain by this. I'm not writing a book. I know what I've seen. I know what I've heard. I know what I've felt. And some of it goes along with what others say. Some of it doesn't. And I'm picking my words, and you know it, Jeremiah.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
I am. Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. I believe it's an animal.
Yeah.
That's it. It gets talked about portholes and interdimension and so forth like that. Well, you know, the next thing I know, I hear, oh, we sent DNA. We got hair samples. We got blood samples. If it eats, it's not spirit. If it bleeds, it can die. Plain and simple. Where's the carcass? I haven't seen any bear carcasses ever. I know they're around. And I just ran across a hip bone, upper leg bone of a deer, and upper leg bone of a deer. And that's the first one I have found. Okay. You got con artists, man. I don't care if they're on the government or on the civilian side. Both sides are interested in it. You gotta, to me, I have to evaluate. I'll look at the books. I'll look at the photographs, but you and I've talked about this. A photograph is a photograph, and the only thing those are good for is someone else's, their reference, their study, their notes. Yeah, I could show you the photograph. I got it right here of the footprints that I found, but it's only good to me. I'm not, and you know how I am about photographs. I used to work with cameras, and I mean, I wasn't a photographer. I worked with cameras, fixing them and so forth like that. So I look at photos real close, background, shadows, which direction the sun's coming in, just different things like that. You know, I'm out of it now. So this whole thing about pixels and so forth, it's like, it makes my head swim, and I don't even want to, you know, but when I get to thinking about, you know, I say con artists, they're on the government, they're on the civilian side, they have an interest in it. And if you could form a conspiracy, follow the money. And, you know, it's a science. It's going to be real interesting when it comes down to science versus religion, because neither one of them is going to have, and I'm a Christian, but neither one of them is going to come up with anything conclusive. As far as Area 51 goes, there's things I don't want to know. There's things I don't even care to know. It doesn't matter to me, you know. My cousin, whoops, this guy that I'm related to worked for the DO, okay? He and I grew up together. He was DOD, Department of Defense, and pretty intelligent guy, pretty valuable guy. And we talked in depth about Area 51. And I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you, but it's kind of interesting. I mean, you know, again, there's things that goes on there. I don't want to know. I don't care to know. I mean, I'm glad some of this stuff that's going on there is going on there. And again, it's just like I say, I'm not coming down on anybody. Nothing anybody said. This is just my opinions. But as you know, it gets back to the thing about an animal. Anybody that's here that hunts knows that when you're out hunting, it's hard to find what you're hunting for. It's a big game of hide and seek. And most of these have been seen by chance. At least that's the claim. Has there been people out there that have just shut up about it and seen it by chance, and you never hear about it? But the ones you do hear about are the ones that comes back in videos, and you know, everybody wants to, it's this side of it, it's a conspiracy, it's this side that it's a conspiracy. You know, I don't know. When you talk about it was mentioned here about going out, and I can't remember exactly how it was said, but you know, guns, everybody going out, you know, hunting for this, so for whoever it was, you know, that gets into a political issue. And I'm sure that somebody in the government would love to get a hold of the fact that somebody's out there with some guns trying to hunt something that they say doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, right? So, I mean, these are just touching a surface. This is just smelling the icing on the cake. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not even trying to eat it here. But there's conspiracy on both sides of the fence. so if you believe in it, it's either conspiracy or it's fact. Civilians make claims, government remains silent. Conspiracies are made by the civilian or the public, or claims are made by the public, and the government remains silent. Why? I don't know, and I don't think anybody else really truly knows, because everything changes. Everything changes in the government every 5 seconds or less. I do believe that, if this really exists, and anybody that knows me knows that I say that because everybody else claims they've seen a Bigfoot. I don't know what I saw. So I don't say I saw a Bigfoot, but I did find footprints, but they were so mushed that you'd see toes, but I've got pictures of them right here in arm's reach. So, I can't make that claim, but I would say that if you want to establish something, my gosh, you're going to have proof. And I mean, having a little animal washed up on Nantucket somewhere that looks like he's got a beak, and oh my God, look at the monster, and the frickin' fly on him looks like it's that big, and everybody claiming, oh, it's from crossed over there at this island. That thing looked like a raccoon to me. It did. So, there you got a body. Why? They didn't run any DNA. I'm just using that as an example. No DNA was run because the body disappeared. That could have been your next door neighbor. The old lady goes, oh, that thing smells. I got to get that off the beach. And that's what she did. So, the conspiracy is made out of it. But, let me just say that for the believer, proof is not necessary. But for the skeptic, no proof is possible, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. Do I believe in some? Talking to a friend of mine today. I got to put this down here. That's why. Okay. Talking to a friend today that told me, he says, "Who do you talk to there at Skookum Sessions?" And I said, "Well, yeah, me, Jeremiah." Why? It's my friend. Just talk to me. He said, "Well, he has a friend. It's like, I know this guy who's got an uncle that's got this old Jeep, and we can buy him for $40 a piece. All we got to do is get 400 people together," and that kind of a thing. But no, he said that there's a fella that he has run around with that made a claim. Two of them, they were driving a car, and something ran out in front of them. Now I'm going to talk to him, but it seems like I hunt, I get out there, but everybody else sees them. I haven't, and I've been in some pretty out of the way places for Indiana, and I've been in the areas where these are supposed to be seen, and I've stayed days in those areas where these are supposed to be seen. And the wildest thing I saw one time was nothing more than a shrew, or some species of shrew. I don't know, maybe it was a dog shrew or something like that, but it was a mole, something. But I don't know, like I say, for the believer, proof's not necessary, but for the skeptic, no proof is possible. So I guess it depends on which side you're on, what you want to believe.
Yeah.
To me, a lot of things are stories, and they're good, and they're good stories. A lot of photographs are photographs. There's people out there. If you want to look at the guy right now, you want to do a book, that's great, and I'm for you. I wish I had the time and the focus to be able to do a book. I do, but I'd screw it up. I don't know. I'm a terrible speller.
That's what editors are for.
Yeah, but there's people out there. Like I've said so many times, follow the money. There's so many things that have happened. Everything from a little boy that was spent a beautiful 3 days with the Bigfoot. I don't know, maybe he took him to Disneyland, the Bigfoot did, or something like that. But you've got all kinds of stuff that comes up, and you can always at some point look at it and go, where would money come in? Kind of like, you're doing working a case on somebody. They got their picture, and then the thread comes out. At the end of that thread is money. Where could the money fit in? That seems to be the biggest thing on here.
Yeah, like these guys are saying.
Yeah. So
Seems like the money people are the ones that claim it to be an animal. Seems like the woo people are shunned so much. Nobody on the woo side makes a dime.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Anybody claiming that Bigfoot could possibly be an interdimensional animal, or
there's money in that,
or what? I don't see where anybody makes a dime.
Well,
on that side.
Well, I know it seems like they wouldn't, but you're putting together I'm trying to find the word without saying conspiracy.
I think it's a hypothesis. It's a pretty decent hypothesis, especially if you're a Christian, because you've got the offspring of Nephilim, and that's what I believe they are.
They could possibly be, yeah.
Can be flesh and blood and spirit at the same time.
Well, and there's where you get the religion and the political, or science, I mean, and the religion put together, let's okay. Talking with one of the kids the other day about it. I mean, he says, and I'm not trying to get off on a religious thing. I'm trying to take it from this kid come in and he says, well, okay, if God is God, who made God? And I said, well, you got to have a bigger God to make God. Yeah. So if you got a bigger God to make God, then you'd have to have a bigger God to make the bigger God to make God. And then you'd have to have a bigger God to make the bigger God to make the big God to make God. And it sort of went that way, but let's say I'm going to do this Area 51, or let's say UFOs. Okay, let's give human beings a little bit of credit. Who's to say that the UFOs aren't human beings that have come back in time?
There you go.
I like that. I like that theory a lot.
I do too.
Checking up on us.
All right.
And if talk about that all the time.
Yeah, and if that's not it, then 1/3 if you know your Bible, you know that 1/3 of the Holy Host fell with Satan. Now, who's to say that the aliens, if they're not human beings coming back in time, who's to say the aliens are not the 1/3 of the Holy Host, that they're not satanic, that they're not, who's to say they're not demons? Now, if they come in physical form, they would have to have some kind of physical craft to get here in, right? So are they going to make up this Bigfoot thing and drop him through a porthole? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy BS here you could work with, but
yeah,
I don't know. It remains to be seen. I personally think it's an animal. I saw something you guys are telling, or I hear people saying, not you guys, I'm using the field, all right, of study.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so's gone out and they've seen 3 or 4 different kinds. Okay. I've seen raccoons that look different, but they're all raccoons.
I saw a skunk the other day. It looked just like a badger. I swore it was a badger.
There you go.
A picture of it. It looked it carried itself just like a badger, but it was some kind of variant of a skunk.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so many different kinds of skunks. Texas hognose skunk. I mean, we got 2 different kinds in the Midwest. One of them that's where the stripes are at, but man, I believe it's an animal. I believe that it's going to be an animal. I believe when the body is found, they're going to say it's an animal. I mean, if you go on bipedal motion, all right, something just happened. Y'all still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you go on bipedal motion and you go, well, hey, look, how many monkeys have 2 legs? Kangaroos get around on 2 legs. We get around on 2 legs. There's what is it? Is it the kangaroo mouse? There's a mouse that gets around on, I think that's the one that gets around on two legs. There's so many things that get around on 2 legs and have hands. All right. And grasp. Now, I'm not saying they got opposable thumbs, but I think if they do find a body, they're going to find that this is an animal. It may be another species of primate. I don't believe that I'm a creationalist. I do not believe in evolution, adaptation, and I'll say even natural selection. But that sounds a little bit odd. We're going to get a lot of people going, what the heck was he talking about? He doesn't know what he's talking about. I know where I'm using the words and why I'm using it that way. But no, I think it's going to be an animal. I think we'll get the body at some point. I think they'll take the body and they'll hide it until they figure out what it is. Or somebody, a couple of good old boys, are going to grab a suit, fill it full of roadkill, put it in the freezer, and try and pass it off. Huh?
Something's already been done.
Yeah, I know.
Done before.
I figured a couple of good old boys might do it again just because they got the idea off. So, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I've seen 2 distinctly different creatures.
Yeah.
The first one I saw at 10 years old was kind of lanky and gray. I think I've told some of you guys this before. It was like 7 feet tall, but it was built like a basketball player.
Yes.
And the one I had the encounter with in Idaho, that thing was a beast, absolute brute. So that to me, they were, could I call them the same? Possibly. I would say they were definitely different strands.
How is the geographical location in difference?
The first one was here in Pennsylvania, Chestnut Ridge. I was a kid. I'm walking home from my buddy's place. We went sled riding during Christmas break, and I walked home about dinner time, and I was all alone on a country road, and I crossed this little hill, and as soon as I crested this hill, the thing walked right across the road in front of me. Didn't look at me. Didn't even notice. I don't think it saw me.
Well, yeah.
And then the second one was in North Idaho. So.
Well, you can have.
I've seen the ones I saw in North Carolina were totally different than up here. Totally different.
That's what I call. That's what I call natural selection, because I mean, if we'll take it. Okay, you got one living in Florida that's built the way it is, has the hair the way it is because of where it lives. You got one living in Arctic. It's going to have hair the way it is because of what it is. And, a short-haired dog is not going to live very long in Alaska, and a Malamute is going to sweat to death in Florida. So that's what I mean by natural selection. So you may have,
Speaking of Idaho.
Yeah.
Speaking of Idaho, have y'all seen the picture that's been floating around the last year or two? The video, the one walking across that's got such massive shoulders and chest that come out of Idaho.
Sure.
Are you talking about that one where it's walking from right to left?
Yes. Walking across and it kind of looks back. Yeah. What's y'all's thoughts on that? I'm just curious, real quick.
I want to jump in there real quick because there's somebody out there that's supposedly a hoaxer guy, and I can never remember his name because those people pretty much don't exist to me. I'm very upset with all those hoaxer people.
There's too many.
And, I don't remember their names. Some of them stick out, but I was under the understanding that it was that guy again. That's my input on that. Sorry. Go ahead, everybody.
If something that good and that great happens that fast, chances are it's a hoax. That's my opinion.
That thing's mass and the shoulders and the depth of the chest was the closest thing I've seen yet to what I actually seen.
That's kind of like what I saw in Idaho. That thing in North Idaho.
Just
was an absolute brute.
Front to back.
I looked at it.
Front to back and side to side.
And side to side.
That literally.
Mine was head on in front of me about 30 feet away. It was partially obstructed by a tree. and it was still half of it was sticking, half or more was sticking out.
Yeah.
And it was twice the width of me, and I'm 6'4".
Yeah.
You know,
The-
this thing is absolutely brute. Like I said, if it was standing in the water, it was easily 9 feet tall. If it was
Hoax or
standing
not,
in the water,
hoax or not, I had a PTSD meltdown when I seen that video, because just and that's what I was going to ask you. You guys that's had eyewitnesses, you know, we're talking about different physical variations.
Yeah.
I'm here in Oklahoma, and I seen that. You know, you're figuring that to be in Idaho and, you know, the Northwest, but we have them down here too. That's that massive. How can you physically get that massive without natural selection?
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, look, take a bull, for instance. Some of the bulls that they just bovine, and how that they're interbred, but you have men breeding them. You don't have the bull walking down the road, you know, jump the fence with a bunch of you know,
Yeah.
milk cows. That doesn't happen. But you know, that's like, all right, go back to the thing of, okay, here we go. And I'm not hanging on religion, because I know how a lot of people feel. I'm a creationist, all right, but we'll take the flood, you know, for instance. Two of kind, not two of species, two of kind. So you got 500 some odd species of dogs now, but you only had two of kind, and they weren't, I mean, you're not going to put adults on there because their lifespan is so short that they don't have time to breed. So you carry small babies, puppies, whatever. Besides, puppies play, they poop, and they sleep, and they eat, and they're easy to take care of, you know, and same way with any animal. But what I'm getting at, in essence, is you could take two canines and you could breed out of those two canines. You know, you got a male and a female comes out of a male and a female. You may have 4 of them. And then those 4, just because of their genes, you could breed them and so forth. So you get different dogs. I mean, really, do you think that Noah would have allowed a Chihuahua on his? I mean, what good is a Chihuahua? You know, that was bred later, but the mass on them, yeah, that's got to be a genetic thing. I mean, if they exist, it has to be a genetic thing, solidly, you know, in their DNA. It's got to be. I mean, if you want mass and you want hairy, you ought to see my neighbor. She's not there right now, but if I'll get a picture of her sometime. But
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna probably ruffle some feathers, because you guys, some of you don't know me very well, but I truly believe they're a type of people. So that's my personal opinion. The ones I've been around, I haven't actually never spoke to one. I've spoke to them, but they didn't speak back. But they're so intelligent that it's hard to understand. But they know when you get out of your car. They know when you're in the woods, and their eyesight is unbelievable.
They know as soon as you get in there.
They sure do.
Have you guys ever heard of that guy? I think he was a retired, or he wasn't retired. He was a police officer. Then he started doing a different job. But he lives out there on the Olympic Peninsula. I can't think of his name. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. We interviewed him on the show.
He said that they followed him home.
Yeah,
they followed me home.
I've heard this. Yeah.
Okay.
They followed me home.
They followed me home.
Yep.
Yeah.
As have AI. Yep.
They came home and visited when I wasn't here. They visited with my wife in the form of a blue orb. And
yeah, my wife had an encounter back there in Cascade, Idaho, about 4 years ago. So she knows now.
When you start getting into orbs, you really are opening up a lot of things, because they definitely are connected to what I call the forest people, because they are completely connected to the forest people. Matter of fact, all this stuff's connected, in my opinion. The Dogman, Bigfoot, all of it's connected. Alien, the whole thing somehow has some type of connection. I don't know how, but I believe it does. I know from what I've witnessed from my second encounter, which I befriended and gifted those for quite a while, and they were super intelligent, very friendly, nothing like the other ones that I've seen, especially the first one I've seen. So their capabilities are pretty impressive. Matter of fact, alarming. Absolutely alarming. I took them whistles. Took them a pack of plastic whistles. And when I walked into the woods, they knew I was coming. They would get excited and they would be making noises in the brush. And the next time I went in, they were blowing whistles all over the woods, clean across the river. One would blow, the other one would blow on this side, like they were relaying to each other that I was coming in. So
they love that shit. They love that.
They do.
Give a kid a whistle. Yeah.
Can I ask, where is this at? What state?
It's Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, all my encounters that I have were in Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee. I live in Virginia part-time during the month also. So my children are here, so I stay with them, my young children. So
what part of Virginia?
I'm between, the easiest way for me to explain to you, between Suffolk and the Outer Banks.
Oh, so you're on the eastern side.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
But what I've witnessed with these creatures is pretty amazing. I do believe they are especially the second one, a type of people. They're not an animal, in my opinion.
They're people. I would agree.
Well, humans are technically animals.
That's true. You're right about that. So I could put that in the same category. Yeah.
There you go.
Now you understand why I say animal.
Right.
I could have said mammal, but yeah.
I don't have any experience when it comes to like the orbs and all that and the trans-dimensional thing. I don't know any about. I know absolutely zero about Dogman. No, the only thing I know about Dogman was there was an encounter down in Ligonier, Pennsylvania, back in the 70s, by two girls that were parking along the road.
Yeah.
And it approached their vehicle, and if I'm not mistaken, it molested their car, like grabbed the car and shook it, But other than that, I have no experience with that creature at all.
You ever heard that story, Nick?
No,
You're a Dogman guy.
No, I haven't heard that one, but I do know I've been up to just above the Pocono area, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And above the Pocono area twice in the last 9 months. And we've had a lot of sightings of them.
I used to live there.
Yeah, of them crossing a certain road. And one couple, the Dogman was running beside it. The husband kicked it, the pedal that is, and he got it up to 45. Dogman was still there and scratched the side of the car.
Wow.
Husband took photographs before they had it repaired, and
only makes sense
to that area.
Israel had to go to bed, guys. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
All right. But twice in the matter of 6 months, we were up there because we got so many calls of sightings. So, Joe, that's an active area up there for some.
I used to live out that way years ago. I lived in a town called it was right outside of Stroudsburg. The Blakesley area. I lived in a little town called Scioto, but I'm familiar. It's very wooded there. The Pocono Mountains are pretty big. I live right below the Allegheny National Forest. Here
That's
now.
a beautiful area there. Yeah. Beautiful.
And,
well, this area that we went to had a miles and miles, as far as I could see, of cornfields, and it crossed the road, and it's like, how many people saw this thing and called in, and they didn't even know each other. I interviewed almost every one of them face to face, and they gave me a very, very similar description. And it's changed a lot of people's lives out there too.
Yeah, like I said, I wish I had more information about it. I have no experience with it. I've never had a sighting that I know of.
Yeah,
I never had
I don't want one.
Well, I could get you to the street if you want to go take a look in that area. And
No, that's fine. I just, like I said,
All right.
Dogman and I don't know anything about each other. I hope. So,
I've
I
seen
just-
it. I've seen enough Lon Chaney.
Huh.
I seen my first Dogman in October of 21 in Virginia here, after staking it out for about, I don't know how long, 2 or 3 weeks maybe. First one I ever seen, and it was nothing like I thought it was going to be. It wasn't a massive creature. It might have been 6 foot tall, maybe a little shorter. The second one I seen was October 19th of 22, less than roughly a little over 3 months ago. And I was with a close friend of mine, and that thing literally scared me to death and made us both so sick, especially him. Took him almost a week or two to get over it. The strangest thing I've ever seen, that was in the LBL, Land Between the Lakes. And that, I don't know what that was. It was a huge creature, and it did not look like anything I'd ever seen in my life.
Describe it to us, Daryl.
It
Describe
looked
it if you
like
could.
it was actually, I don't mind telling you, I don't guess it matters, but Martin Groves is one of my best friends for the last 40 years. I was with him, and we were in the LBL in an area that we spent quite a bit of time up there. And when we had just got back in his truck, and I don't know if you know anything about Land Between the Lakes, but it goes forever, and it is
I
massive.
know there was a massacre there years ago, wasn't there?
In 1982, yes, supposedly, yes. But anyway, we had just got back in the truck. It was 12:30 roughly at night. Can't remember the exact time, but we turned on one of these gravel roads that are endless up there. You go left, right as far as you want to go on gravel roads in the middle of nowhere. And this thing was laying in the ditch on my side. I was in the front seat of the truck on the passenger side. He was driving. This thing was crouched down in the ditch in some bush and some brush and sticks and stuff. It looked like it was about to pounce, like a cat looks when it's about to jump on a mouse. It was looking right at me in the window, and it was silver gray. Its head was massive, about half the size of our windshield. It looked at me. Its eyes looked like 2 tiny flashlights, completely clear. And it stared at us until right as we went by, we're running maybe a mile or 2 an hour, just barely going. And he looked at me and said, "Did you just see what I see?" And I said, "How could I not?" And then about that time, it crossed behind our truck. It didn't like run, it like glided across behind the truck, and Martin heard it run up the hillside with breaking limbs and running up the hillside. And that was the strangest thing I've seen in my lifetime. And he became really sick. His tongue swelled up, his throat swelled together. I thought I was going to take him to the hospital. I got sick, but not nearly as sick as he did. And this thing put some type of, I don't know what you would call it, some type of film all over the truck. And he took it to 2 or 3 cleanup shops, and they actually had to scrub and buff it to get it off. And the inside of the truck stunk so bad that it was pretty unbearable. I don't know if I don't believe it's called, like some people call this zapping. I think it's, with my close friend Barton Only, I'm believing like he does. I think it's some type of radiation these things put out, because I've been zapped a couple times, once by orbs and once by a forest person or a Bigfoot, and it's not a comfortable thing. But this was completely different. I never felt anything like this. But this creature was silver gray, and it was probably, I'm guessing, 8 foot long, The head was so massive. It almost looked cartoonish. I don't know. That's the only way I can explain it. It was so wild looking.
Kind of like Wile E. Coyote.
I just can't explain it. I've never seen anything like that, but it was real, and it was real.
You said his eyes looked like flashlights. Was they shooting light or emitting light, or
it looked like two tiny flashlights. The eyes did completely light colored, clear light.
Wow.
And it was the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life. And we were up there. We just spent 2 days up there this last weekend. That's actually where I went back to go back in the area. And we had a lot of, we think we have a picture of a Dogman from that trip, but that was a pretty strange too. We've seen quite a few orbs, but the red orbs are what scare me, because that's the ones I've had bad luck. Reddish orange colored ones.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we have left, but what Daryl was saying, I just want to get Daryl's opinion, because I've been asked so many times and told so many times, actually, even more so. People they tell me, where can I go? Where can I go to see a Sasquatch or a Dogman? I mean, is that like not something that's life-changing, that if you saw one in front of you 20 feet away or so?
I've never seen anything like that. I've witnessed some forest people or Sasquatch over the years, and never. And my first encounter was pretty terrifying while I was deer hunting, but this thing was like nothing I've ever seen. So
I'll be right back.
It does make you question everything you know.
Yeah, okay. What's that? Oh, cool.
Gentlemen, I hate to do this, but we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But thanks, guys, for joining the show tonight. And we'll come back. Oh,
that's a Sasquatch face putting it on plastic.
That's a pretty good one there. That looks like something.
Sorry, I had to step out. Before we stop, Jeremiah, hook me up with Daryl. I'd like to get back with him on his 2 sightings for descriptions at a later time.
Okay.
Still there?
We'll get you done.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That'll help my research a bunch.
You might reach out to Martin Groves too. He's a very close friend of mine, and he's actually starting his 2nd book. And the story I just told you is in the book. He and I are research partners together, and
cool.
By accident mainly, because he had an encounter and scared him to death for 30 years before he told his story this last July. So, but
I'm not doing it for a show or nothing. I'm just this personal research for.
That's not a problem. I'll be glad to tell you everything I know.
Cool.
Not a problem. And I'm also on Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures. That's my Facebook group. And of course, Nick and Jeremiah are both members there.
And, I'm a member there also. So cool.
Oh, okay. Great,
Awesome,
man. Great.
awesome
Great. I appreciate you being there.
Group. Anyone else want to give a shout out? How can we get a hold of the rest of you? Anyone listening?
I'm on Facebook. Go find me. I have a beef row report. It's in Shoshone County in Idaho, August 11th of 2011. And I just finished filming a thing for Amazon Prime. I don't know, it's coming out like at Easter. I think it'll be out. So
awesome.
We'll see how that turns out. Yeah, I don't really like doing television. They made me take a 45-minute Bigfoot encounter and try to get it out in 2 minutes.
Oh wow.
I mean, I don't even know where I was. Here's the notes I took right there. I wrote notes so I could jump from. I mean, that's not the way to do it, man. I was not happy with the outcome of that, but it is what it is.
That's the news media.
Man.
Yeah.
I was a little.
Well, at least they didn't try to make you add things to it that weren't true. That's what most of them
never did. They never did. the only thing they really did that was a little stranger, or not stranger, I shouldn't say, a little different than what other people have asked, was they wanted me to discuss the after effects. What happened to me afterwards? Like what, how did this affect your life and your being? And the second encounter, one in Idaho, man, that messed me up. I honestly, I had to get out of van and shit to go to sleep at night because I couldn't. All I could see was this thing.
I know the story
And
there.
it was unreal. It was an unreal experience, and I honestly. But I mean, if you can understand trying to take something that took 45 minutes to talk about it and explain it in 2 minutes, I just feel like I got robbed. But hey, it's like I said, it is what it is. So.
They did not care about what you had to say. They just wanted to.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they have a product to sell, and whoever can sensationalize their product over another radio or TV station's product, it's a product. I mean, it's simple. It's money.
What's weird is they're airing my first encounter, my childhood encounter. They're airing that in its complete, total wholeness. And I think that probably took me 10, 15 minutes to tell. But the second one, which was a really involved, multifaceted encounter, they just didn't give two rips. I don't understand it, but whatever. So,
well, gentlemen, are you all on Facebook?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ron?
Yeah.
John, you're on Facebook, right?
Yeah, John D. Schweitzer. There's two of us. There's a fella out on the West Coast, and then there's me in Indiana.
Okay.
So I'm easy to hit up, really.
I want to wish everybody a happy Groundhog Day. I live in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. So
there you go.
Well, it's about like my friend Martin Groves. He won't go into LBL anymore because he calls himself a groundhog. He hides from there. So
I don't blame him, man. I don't blame him. The thing about that is I haven't been camping since that. In August of 2011 was the last time I went camping, and I love to camp. It was my favorite hobby, and I will not go back in the deep forest again. I will not. I've been to campgrounds. I've been to a KOA for my buddy's wedding here in Lincoln City, Oregon, but I've never, I will not go out in the woods again.
No backpacking in is what you're saying then.
Not anymore, man.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I did that for years and years, and that was my favorite way. I got two perfectly good. I have a brand new backpack in there I bought right before this all broke out. It is sitting. It's a Celtic Comanche. It's in my garage right now, and it's never been used.
I got a Celtic Coyote. Yeah.
Oh, that's the smaller. I think it's a little smaller, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I don't like to carry any more than I have to. So
right. Well, boy, that is a comfortable. I tried it on. I filled it up. I packed it. Got it ready to go, and I've never taken it in the woods.
Yeah.
Hang on, guys. Jeremiah, you still there? It looks like you froze.
He's asleep. That's what it is.
It's been great talking to all you guys. I appreciate being on with you,
man. Gary.
You too, Nick.
Yep.
You too, buddy. Thank y'all for having me on.
Ron, you awake?
I want to get a hold of you, man. I want to try to find. I'll ask Jeremiah or somebody. I want to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I want more information about this Dogman thing.
Anybody that's out there watching this,
well.
anybody out there watching this, actually, we're all going to go, and you all can stay and watch Jeremiah sleep.
With his eyes open.
That or he's dead. I don't know.
Well, he's up there with he's up there with 6 feet of snow and no heat. So I'm sure he's probably trying
the marvels of technology. Look at this is what it did. It froze
froze him to death right there.
Yeah. I think he left the meeting is what happened. I don't know.
I don't think so.
He was actually blowing his breath as he was speaking through the entire meeting.
There you go. That's cold. Yeah.
Froze up
He
there.
could ask his wife to let him in the house.
Oh, if Nick, I think you're also a host or on the settings. Can you pull us out?
I am trying. I think, guys, you're just going to have to
leave the meeting.
Yeah.
X out.
Everybody X out of it. I'm going to go.
We'll edit this tomorrow and get it all fine.
All right, guys. Enjoy the heck out of it.
What I'm doing.
Have a good night.
Enjoyed it.
Everybody take care. Thank you.
All be careful. Stay safe.
All right, Gary, take care.